All right, y'all. Welcome to the Texas Garden Guy Show. We got one of my favorite YouTube content creators on today, and his name is Jason Contreras from Sow the Land.
Yeah,
How's it
man.
going,
Thanks.
Jason?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm doing well. How
Oh,
about you?
oh man, oh man, I'm doing really good. I've been sick all week, but I couldn't miss this. I couldn't miss out on this because you were probably one of the first YouTube creators that I really started following hard. And it's not because of the homesteading stuff. I got bored at work one day and I picked up my pocket knife and I started carving stuff. And so I looked on YouTube and because I wanted to make a spoon. And
Yeah,
you were one of the first guys that popped up and
really?
showed me how to make a spoon, basically. You
Wow.
know, uh,
Okay.
and making spoons is not as easy as it looks.
No, it's not. Yeah, I was doing that a lot more of that early on, but
Yeah, well, it seems like you've gotten more into the homesteading and stuff, and uh, less of the woodworking. And I used to love watching you make your artwork and stuff like that. It was so much fun to watch. Are you gonna get back into doing more of that? Are you still doing any of that?
yeah, I probably haven't done woodworking type stuff for the last, I would say, 2 years. And
Yeah.
that's because we just kind of moved to our property, and I don't really have a spot for things. I have things kind of. I'm still trying to figure that out. My plan is to get back into it. But we kind of took a break there to concentrate on the homestead, get that going, and then hopefully I could start doing that stuff again because I really love doing it. I really like doing
Oh
it. So
yeah. Well, and you have a particular kind of style, and I had made something that was kind of like in your style. And this was like a stove cover, and
oh wow,
this kind of looks like kind of the door from y'all's old laundry room. I kind
yep,
of took that
yep.
design, and I was, and this is like my stove cover to give me more because I've got kind of a small house, and it kind of gives me a little bit of extra space. And I was like, oh, I love his style. I love how he does things.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
let me give you an opportunity for I'm sure people know who you are, but give you a quick opportunity to give people a background on you, real quick.
Yeah. So we have a Sow the Land YouTube channel, and we've been, let's see, we've been doing the homestead thing for 7 years now. In 2016, we moved out. We're in the Western North Carolina area, and originally from California, Southern California, just outside of LA. And we moved out here in 2016, and we've been trying to figure out ever since. We, you know, not, we didn't do this lifestyle in California at all. We had a completely different life out there, just careers, living in the city. I had an office job, 9 to 5 office job. And, when I turned, I think it was 6 years before we actually moved out here, was diagnosed with cancer. And that really got us going and really we started thinking differently at that time of like what's going on, like what foods we should be eating, how we should be better taking care of ourselves. Even that's kind of, you started questioning things. Once you start questioning one thing, like say where your food comes from, you start questioning other things like, am I happy? Like,
Oh
am I
yeah.
happy with my job? Am I happy where we're at? Those things started popping up. And so, next thing you know, we're selling a lot of our stuff, and trying to live more minimally. And eventually it kind of snowballed into wanting to learn how to grow our own food, into like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to find more land somewhere? And we didn't know what that would look like or how that would work. And it took about a good 6 years to get to a point where we're like, hey, let's just buy some land and leave. Like I didn't know how to get out of
Yeah.
my comfortable office job. My wife, she was in the
Right.
fashion industry. Uh, at that point, we had already had it right before we left. Well, our daughter was 4 years old when we left, so my wife became a stay-at-home mom. She left her fashion career, um, and then but I had my office job, my comfortable job for 17 years, and the only
Oh
way
wow.
I could figure out how to get out of it was to just leave. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what we did. We had sold most of our stuff in our house, and we left to North Carolina, and we didn't have no friends or family or connections, no job, uh, and the plan was we're gonna figure it out, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And the goal was to just uh, try to grow as much food as we can for ourselves and to figure out how to work for ourselves and just to be together
Yeah.
as a family and happy. And we've been doing that ever since.
So going back to what was your desk job? What was your job in California?
Yeah, it was kind of engineering, architectural. I would do drawings, like computer aided
Okay.
drafting, and that's what I went to
Yeah,
school
CAD
for.
drawings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah. You can definitely tell. You can definitely tell because of your designs and stuff that you offer people, like on your chicken coops and stuff. Like, oh, this dude is definitely got some engineering background, like because they're so specific. You know, it's really detailed stuff.
Yeah, and that's something that I had learned early on. Like, man, how can I use my skills that I currently have? Because early on, I was like, man, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know how to grow food or raise animals. And so, but what do I just look back and what do I know how to do? And that was drawings. And so, like, well, I'm gonna build something and create drawings for it and try to sell some plans, and so now everything that I build or do plans for, and I sell on our
Right.
website. So that's just one of the things. But yeah,
And your everything you build has a certain style to it. You kind of I guess people leaving California, it's like the opposite of like what it was like in the 1900s, where everybody was going to California. Now everybody's leaving and they're going to like North Carolina and Texas. um,
yeah,
and everything you build, like from your chicken coops, has a certain style. I don't know if it's like, what is it, Art Deco, or like that chicken coop with like the manhole window. Like you have a very like
yeah,
a retro style design that you have to almost everything you build, that I really like.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I think me and my wife, we like old, like vintage. We collected a lot of vintage, like mid-century modern furniture, or way back in the day, and we sold a lot of that stuff too. And we would go to these shows of mid-century modern, and so we really like that style. That's like early '60s, '50s type
Yeah.
era. And so I don't know. I guess I kind of gravitate towards that look, even if it's for a chicken coop. You know,
Right.
um,
Absolutely.
so and minimal, like I like minimalistic style, like clean, like a chicken coop doesn't have to be that, but if I'm going to build something like that, I want to kind of put my own, I guess, twist to it, to make it look like, if somebody's seen that on the street, they can say, oh, that's a soda lamb coop, or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you can definitely tell your chicken coops apart. I mean, you put your own little flair on everything that you do, from your chicken tractors to your coops, even that camper y'all redid. I mean, uh, you didn't have any like building background or construction background, did you? Because you built so much stuff for like Justin Rhodes and all them too.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I just, like I said, I had a 9 to 5 office job. So, like I went to school for industrial design. So I guess I kind of have that design engineering background without having to actually build anything. I've always, drew things on paper. And
Right.
so I think maybe that's helped me uh, to figure how to draw it in real life, even though it's two separate things. And that's just, me just picking it up. Like I didn't build anything prior to moving to North Carolina. It wasn't until we moved here, and, I can't afford to pay someone to build something for me, you know?
Right.
because that's very expensive. So I was like, well, I better figure it out. And I like building things, even though really didn't do much of it prior. Um, so I don't if I didn't even own any kind of tools prior. Like it wasn't until we moved out here, like
Yeah.
I was like, I bought my first table saw when we moved out here, and that's just me wanting to figure it out and learn. And early on, I had worked with a couple guys converting school buses into tiny homes, and these are just a couple guys that I met out here, and they I kind of learned a lot from them because those guys were woodworkers, they were makers, and they worked for themselves. So I learned a ton through those two guys, and just working with them, kind of being there off and on. Um, and so, when you if you could convert a school bus into a home, like you could pretty much build anything, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
and
and I really like the camper you'd redone, and then especially the mobile chicken fridge out of that trailer. I was like, man, that is such a cool idea. I mean, he could have turned that into anything. I mean, I started thinking, I was like, can you just get like an old U-Haul trailer, like pretty cheap, and just turn it into
yeah.
like a mini camper, or like whatever you want to do with it. Like you could do anything with one of those.
Oh yeah, you could do anything, and then that's building that. I had built Justin Rhodes's walk-in cooler,
Hmm.
and after building his cooler, I knew one day I was going to build one for myself. you
Yeah.
know and so that gave me after I had never built anything like that before prior, and he was confident in me that, hey, I could do this, because he just asked me like, hey, can you build a walk-in cooler? And I was like, well, I've
I'll
never that
figure
was
it
a
out.
that yeah, I had never done that. But he, even I, my first reaction was like, yes, I could do it. But then after, a few weeks went by, and I was like, wait a minute, like, can I do that? Like, it's kind of, I started second guessing myself. Um, and then also the fact that he has a big YouTube channel and he's going to film this. So that was intimidating right there by itself, because everybody else is going to see me build this thing. And if
Right.
it doesn't work, then I'm going to be a failure,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to feel good about myself. So like I was, having all these second thoughts. And then I remember writing a text message. I was going to text him like right the day before I was going to come out and actually start building this thing. And I wrote it out already, saying like, hey man, I don't think I could do this. Like, thank you for, like I already wrote it out. I was about to hit send, and for whatever reason, I didn't do that. I was like, you know what? I told him I was going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. And so, I did, and I figured it out, and it came out great. And
Well,
but I knew,
and
yeah,
that was probably a big turning point for you, because I know you were pretty well established on YouTube, but you might not have been as big as you are now. But like when you first started, I think you probably got a big audience from Justin when you started building some of those things, and people love watching you build stuff. And I remember watching that time lapse where you're adding layer after layer, and I was wondering, I was like, does he is he going to go back and add another one? You just get one layer and layer and layer with all that stuff. I was like, did he plan on putting that much, or is he just winging it here?
no, you're supposed to. There's a certain amount of thickness that you need for those things that they recommend, just to get the full effect from the cooler. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, it was a tough job, but I'm glad I stuck through it, and I pushed through it, and I finished it, because then that just gives you the confidence, like, later
Right.
on, I knew one day I was going to build one for myself. And that's when I built the trailer. Like, I think it was maybe 2 years after that, I had built that trailer, and that came out good too. So
Well, and you picked up a new skill of welding. I love. Do you love welding? It's so much fun to me.
yeah, it is fun. It can be a little intimidating at first, but then once you get it going, and you just try to think about like, what's the next thing I could weld, so
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah.
I was wondering because you're always building something. I was wondering. I was like, when the price of lumber just skyrocketed, did it break your heart? Because you're like, oh my god, it's going to cost me so much more to make these videos now. Or did you just say, I'm going to pay it and do it, or what? Like, it stopped me from doing a lot of things.
Yeah, I think it's an initial shock, like sticker shock at first. I think you're kind of like, oh man, like you start to have those thoughts of like, man, we can't build certain things. But then, I don't know, it's weird. I think you kind of just, I don't know if you get used to that price or you just
Yeah.
adjust. But
Right.
I didn't let it stop me from making things that I want to do. Um, because you just adjust. Like, what are you gonna
And
do?
you're
Like,
and
I
you're
you could sit there and cry
yeah,
about
and
it.
you're a scrap. Yeah. Yeah, I think you keep all the scraps like I do in my garage. A lot of
Yeah,
so you always have extra pieces laying over to do
that
stuff as
helps.
well.
Oh yeah, that helps. I remember
Yeah,
early on when we first moved out here. Yeah, I didn't have any scraps, and it was kind of frustrating because even like you even have a scrap, I guess a scrap pail or a bucket of like screws and stuff. Like I didn't even have any of that, so it was kind of frustrating because early on we had to buy everything.
oh
Uh,
my god.
but now I have like so much scrap that I gotta get rid of things. So
Yeah. Well, you are the reason that I buy Deckmate the coated screws now. I only use Torx screws. If someone brings a Phillips screw to my house, I will say, "You get out of my house." It is a powder coated Deckmate screw or nothing, or the
yeah,
whatever the Lowe's version is. I will
right.
only use anybody using a Phillips head screw is in the 20th century. I
I
will not
know.
use anything except the Torx because I'll pull them out of old projects and still be able to use those screws.
Yeah,
They're
they
still
last
good
longer.
usually,
Yeah,
a
and they
lot
they don't they
longer.
don't strip as easily as a start. Yeah, and it's good to keep one style of screw because if you got a bunch of different
Yes,
screws, then that it's frustrating because you got to switch bits all the time, and that's
yes,
not fun.
yeah. There was a point where I switched from Home Depot to Lowe's and went from the Deckmate to like whatever Lowe's brand. And instead of a T20, it's like a T25. And so it's just a little smaller Torx, just
Yeah,
enough to strip out the old one. And it drove me crazy. It drove me nuts.
yeah,
It,
I
it,
know.
it, it's, it, I'm sure you dealt with that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was in I
um,
switched at a certain point. You just switch over.
yeah, well, it's usually whatever's closest to the house. It's usually whatever's closest to the house.
Yeah.
Um, do you and Lorraine is your wife, and she is awesome. She has been on the channel she's been pretty active with you on the channel since the beginning, and I've seen she's actually evolved and started doing some solo videos while you're probably working out in the field, doing some like solo kitchen stuff now,
Yeah.
on the most recent videos,
Sometimes,
and
yeah.
it seems like y'all are a great team, and y'all it definitely takes a lot of teamwork to make this stuff work, especially when you're homesteading like y'all are.
Oh yeah. This is to have a homestead and be out here. It was always both of our dreams to do this.
Really?
It wasn't just like, usually it's like one or the other. Somebody has to. Nobody's on board. Not everyone's on board, but for us, it
Yeah.
was like, man, from the get go, we were like, yeah, let's do this. Like we're both into it, and still to this day, like this is we both want to do this, and the videos, that brings a different element to everything that we do, and
Yeah. It makes
like,
everything take twice as long.
oh yeah, yeah, and not every day, not every time she likes to be on the videos. Um, a lot of the time she just wants to be like kind of in the background, just kind of doing her thing, and not necessarily
Yeah.
on the videos or be the person, the main person in the videos. Um,
Right.
she kind of leaves that up to me to do that. And then like we learned early on who likes to film and who likes to edit, and I like to do both those things, and she doesn't. She just like just film me.
Yeah.
Or I'll be on it, but you film, you edit. Even some of our early videos, she did film and edit some
Oh
of those.
wow.
Um, but she didn't. Over time, she was like, I don't like doing this. Uh,
Yeah.
so now
It's
I
very
do.
time consuming.
Yeah, I just started doing all of it. So yeah.
Yeah. What is your like your system like? Do you wake up in the morning and first thing you just have like how many cameras do you roll around with like every day? Just one?
Um, so past couple years, I have one big camera, which is a Sony A7 IV, that I've been
Mhm.
using, and prior to that I was using a Canon 80D, which is a DSLR camera with a big Rode mic on it. It can be
Mhm.
cumbersome, but I kind of got used to using that over the years, and so now like I use that, and
Yeah.
then I also have a GoPro, which the GoPro mainly I use it for like B-roll or like action shots,
Mhm.
like if I'm driving around somewhere, or doing something where it would be too much to hold a big camera. So like if I'm on a
Yeah.
ladder or something, I'll bring I'll set up the GoPro and do that way. And it just makes
Right.
everything, I mean, in the edit, it makes it a little bit more difficult because now I have two
Mhm.
cameras to pull from, but
Right.
during the filming, it makes it a little bit easier when I have the little camera.
Right. So yeah, I've got I keep one I kind of got away from everything but like one camera, and then I'll mix in the phone because I found like the phone actually has cameras like iPhones usually have just as good of like lenses nowadays as some cameras.
Oh yeah,
But you're like me though, because I see you have your headphones in a lot of times. You want to be listening to like a podcast or something while you're working, and you can't have the camera and the phone at the same time. And it seems
right.
like phones overheat really easily as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I was using the
uh,
phone early on. That's how I started with the phone. Um, but
yeah,
then, I just wanted to improve like the quality, to be able to switch out lenses and use a mic, and I just got used to the bigger camera. And plus,
right,
I think I started once in a while I'll go film at other farms,
yeah,
or even people will hire me to film stuff for them. And so having that didn't start till I started using the bigger camera. And I think in a sense, like that, if people see you with a bigger camera, there's almost like a sense of professionalism, or they
it's like
think
a
like,
like
oh,
a
this guy,
street cred.
yeah, they're like, oh, this guy's legit. He has a big camera,
Yeah, yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's like street cred, like, oh, he must be big and big time, it's I noticed that you did a lot of stuff for like Homesteaders of America. I know you've done some uh was it for Polyface? Did you shoot some stuff for Polyface or was that for your channel? Because I know y'all used to spend a lot of time out there.
Yeah, I shot it for, I think it was, most of it was for Mother Earth News Fair. They had hired
Okay.
me to go out there and film some stuff at Polyface. And then I've done stuff with like Justin Rhodes. He's hired me to do some stuff for his platform that he has. And then, yeah, also some of that stuff for our channel too. So kind of just, since I'm out
Yeah.
there, I might as well film extra.
Right. Right. ABC always be content. Always be content.
Yeah.
Um so when I was talking to Cog Hill last week, what I realized on YouTube, when you're seeing these videos, watching guys like you and him, you don't realize how steep like hills are. And I remember at your old place that y'all used to have the hardest time if it rained getting your truck up and down that hill.
Yeah.
And I don't think the camera does it justice. How steep was it from your house down to like the garden?
Yeah. It was steep. I'm trying to think how to say it. I don't know how to say it, but I would say how tall. I don't know, 20 feet. Uh,
That's a good drop.
Maybe even more than
That's a
that.
good drop.
I would say 20 to 30
Yeah.
feet tall, like a
Wow.
difference. Um, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to. Plus, we were on a busy road. Like we were on a corner
Yeah.
property. Like usually you wouldn't be able to tell. Like I think people watching they won't be able to notice, but like there was semi trucks flying by. There was the school bus dropped their kids off in front of our house. Like there was just so much
Yeah.
going on, and there would be most of the time I would have to stop talking. That a truck's going by. It's too loud. Because it'll catch
Yeah.
all the
Well,
traffic.
the old place, was it in the country or was it like in town? Like kind of in town?
It was in the country, but it was closer. Like we were maybe 20 minutes from downtown Asheville.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
felt country, but it was just enough, where you were still close to a lot of the things around.
Yeah. I think I commented one time on one of your videos and I said, we've never seen your front yard. What is in the front yard? Because we never saw, at the old place, we never saw your front yard. And I was like, I wonder, I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I think at your new place, I don't think we've ever seen the front yard either.
Well, there's a reason for that. I don't want people knowing.
Yeah.
You got to be somewhat discreet.
That is such a good point. I was at a meetup and someone walked by the table and was talking to me and she was like, "Do you drive this truck?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, I live just behind you. I know exactly where you live." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, awesome."
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, well, come by, but don't like come walking in my backyard, or anything like that. But I can only imagine the kind of stuff y'all got to, like Cog Hill said he named his farm after the street they lived on. He said that was a mistake. That was, so he definitely had people driving by looking for his place.
Yeah, we have. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we left or we sold that place, because we started to have more and more people just show up at our house.
Shut up. Oh my
Um,
God.
and there was some people were like our neighbors that would find us, and that's
Mm,
okay. That's fine. They're our neighbors. But then other people would just show up that are not our neighbors, that just been, according to them, they were just driving by and happened to see our place, uh, and just show up. So that gets kind
no.
of creepy. You know, yeah, like just shoot me an email at least. Like don't just show up.
Well, especially when you have Penelope, you don't want to have any strangers showing up to the house. What if you're not there?
Right.
I
Oh
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's just not a good idea.
No, don't just
um,
show up.
no, no. Well, and didn't Justin used to have that where people would just show up to his house and work in the field? I don't think he has that anymore, but didn't he have a situation like that where you could just show up to Justin's house?
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard some stories from various people that kind of put me off, but you know,
Yeah,
I mean, you try to be as discreet as much as possible, but the reality is, like, people, you could find where anybody lives.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. My wife used to complain because she would say, "Oh, they can see the license plate. They see the license plate number and stuff like that." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that."
Yeah.
And then people go back and will pause their videos and comment when they see something like in the background. Ooh,
Yeah.
it's wild, man. It's pretty wild.
I know.
Um, it's nuts. I was laughing because you had gotten that mini truck, and I was in the Air Force, and when I was stationed in Manas, Kyrgyzstan, we had some of those vehicles, but they were vans, and
Yeah.
I remembered how funny it was me trying to drive one of those in stick shift with the left hand and get the clutch and everything right, and it was so weird.
Yeah.
You're a smaller guy, so it's probably a little easier to be
Oh, yeah.
driving. But how is the transition? I know you're on your second one now,
Yeah.
but how has it been with the little mini truck?
It was fine. I mean, at first, when you first drive it, the first probably month, it was like, man, it's just so weird. I don't know if I can get used to this. But now, I've had a mini truck for, I think it's been 6 or maybe 5 months, and I'm used to it now.
Yeah.
Like now, I go into my regular truck and I go on the other side. Like I'm almost so used to the mini truck
Hmm.
that now
Yeah.
I'm not used to
Yeah.
the Toyota.
Oh yeah.
So I love the trucks. Like I actually taught my daughter, she's 11 now, to
We
drive it.
saw it. Yeah.
So she's
Yeah.
you know, she's that might mess her up later on when she actually drives a real vehicle, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's good.
That's funny.
Like
Yeah.
they're fun.
So you're not hardly driving. Y'all were a one vehicle family for a while, and so
Yeah,
now Lorraine can take the Tacoma whenever she needs to run around, and you're pretty much driving that mini truck
yeah.
all the time now, unless y'all are going out of town. You drive it around Asheville.
So we live, yeah, we moved kind of a little outside Asheville. So Asheville's a little bit too far to drive it
Don't
now.
t- don't don't tell me where you live. Don't tell me where you live.
No, no. We'll leave it at that. And then, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not too often, not too often where I drive it like to Lowe's. But that's why I got it, because if I have to, I
Yeah.
could. It's street legal. I drive around the property too. So yeah, because we are a one car family, it's nice to have that
Yeah.
option of dual purpose.
Absolutely. Well, and no, you cannot get those things stuck. Uh, in my hometown, they use them in the rice fields, and they
Mm,
drive them around, and you cannot get those things stuck in the mud. They're
really?
so light. It's got to be really hard to get them, but you got to be a little smaller in the
Yeah.
gut to drive them. Because I got me one a couple of years ago, and I was like, it was like into my ribs a little bit right here.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, they're a lot of fun, and I mean, compared to the price of like a Kubota ATV or something like that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's no comparison because I
No.
mean, like one of those Kubotas is going to cost you as much as like a brand new truck almost.
Oh yeah. Like it's a car payment, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's they're more economical. I mean, we'll see over time, how long they last, but you know, I don't know.
yeah, no, it's a fun experiment, and I've seen as soon as I saw you got one, I immediately went on YouTube and I saw about 100 videos of people souping them up, like
Yeah.
putting like lifted tires, especially like in England and stuff. And I was like, people go crazy for these,
Oh
you
yeah,
know. And
I've been sent lots of videos of people send me the videos now of all mini trucks. And so there's people that like put roll cages on them and they're flipping them down the hill and like doing like these giant roll tumbles with them and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm like I'm not doing that,
yeah,
but
oh, absolutely. No, people are crazy. Um, y'all do a lot of chicken. Well, y'all been doing chickens for what, 7 years? I think I heard in the video the other day. Is it
yes.
7 years now? Y'all been doing meat chickens. How has the process gone? Like from when y'all first started, like how many chickens did y'all start out with, like the first year compared to like how many y'all are doing now? Like, is it easier to do more or you start off small? What would you recommend for people getting into meat chickens?
Yeah, if this is your first time, I would start off with 25.
That's
Um
the minimum, right? The
yeah.
minimum order, pretty much.
Yeah, I would do the minimum of 25 because you could say do 5, but whether you do 5 or 25, it's generally the same process. So
Yeah,
I think to make it more worth your while, do 25 and see if you like doing it, and then go up from there if you want. That's what we did. We started with 25, and early on, you don't really know how much food you eat until you actually start growing it yourself. Like
yeah,
you, we're so used to going to the grocery store once a week and just buying food for the week. But like say chicken, we started with 25 and we thought, yeah, that should last us the whole year. how much chicken do we actually eat? I don't know. We didn't do the math. We didn't know how to figure that out. We just kind of guessed, like, yeah, 25 would be good. But then after about, you know, 5 months, 4 months, we ran out of chicken. And it was like, well, we should have, grew another 25. And so, from 25, it kept growing every year. Like then the next year we did 50. And then we don't do it all at once. Like it's not like we do 50 in one shot. Like we do 25
It's
after
like
they're done.
succession planning.
Yeah. And it's more doable that way. It's not so
Yeah,
dramatic, it's not because the act of raising them is not a huge deal, but it's the
right.
processing day that is a lot. It goes
Yeah,
a lot goes into it because it's a long, long day, or it could be 2 or 3 days, depending how many chickens you have. And
yeah.
if you draw it out the year, you do 25 at a time and take your time with it, it's more doable. And that's what we started doing. And so now we grow about 150 for the year. And that is because we don't eat all that, but a lot of it, we started doing the workshops here.
Mm.
And so we'll give out a chicken to the attendees. So some of that is to the attendees. And then also we've been growing for family, like Lorraine's parents have moved to the area. And so we
Mm.
grow all the food for them. And so we give them chicken, we have chicken for ourselves, and we have chicken for people who come to the workshops.
Hey, shout out to Lorraine's dad. That's like your best friend. That's like your best bud now, man. Did y'all all
Yeah.
did y'all always get along? Like, he seems like your best bud in the videos now. He seems like he's eager to work and do things. Like, I wish me and my father in law were that friendly. you know.
No, yeah, it's pretty special. No, yeah, I mean, Randy's always been both, Lorraine's family, my family, they've always been supportive of everything that we've done or are doing. Even I remember early on when we had just started growing food in California. I mean, he was right there helping us with our garden beds.
Okay.
He was always just there, just helping. And that's all he just wants to do. He just wants to just be a part of it and help, which is great. I mean, he's
Yeah.
super helpful. A lot of the stuff that we do now, I couldn't have done it without both our parents here, and just to have family nearby is great. Is a blessing. Um, After so many years of living out here, we didn't have family nearby, and so now they're here and they help us. And I like to think that I'm keeping them young by giving them all this work.
Well, it was so funny because I was watching a video. I think you and Randy were building, y'all were putting the pylons in for that lean-to, and you had the auger, and you were there and like, hey, I told him I would dig it. He just needs to watch, whatever. But he's over there digging, and my wife came up behind the couch and she was like, "Who is that?" She goes, "That Lorraine's brother." I was like, "That's Lorraine's dad." She goes, "Oh my god." She
Yeah,
goes, "He looks like he looks young."
yeah,
It's just it's funny, like seeing families. Usually when you're watching videos, you see like people leave and not getting bigger. Like y'all's family on the channel has gotten bigger throughout the years. With them. Is your family still in Like your parents, are they still in California?
yep, yep. Mostly, yeah. Everybody else is still out there. They come visit us, or they try to come visit us once a year, and now they love it. Because we have all the
Yeah.
good food here. We say, come stay at our place. Like you don't have to pay for any food. We got all the food. And so they try to make it a point to come once a year and hang out for at least a week or two, which is great. Which is great too, because it's a vacation for them. Because they have no other reason to come out this way other than to come visit
Right.
us. You know.
I think I remember. I think I remember now seeing your parents. Y'all were still at the old property, and they were checking out the pig port. I
Yeah.
think in and it's funny tricking people. Like when people come to my house, I'm like, oh, you want to help me water the garden? Here, hold the water hose. And you were having them carry buckets and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
fun to them. And like, man, that's usually work for me. So have fun with that. It's, whatever. Come on over
Oh
and have
yeah.
some fun.
Yeah, like I have nephews, my nephews come and they're getting older now, so they come and they're like, "Man, we want to help you with the chores," you know.
You're like, come on with it. That's funny. And so this past year was your first time raising two steers. How was that? Because before then, it just been chickens and pigs. So how was it with the two steers?
The two steers were great. Definitely intimidating, because they're giant animals. And there was a farm that was close by me, and they were a pasture raised organic farm that went out of business, and that's where I got them from. And so they were already a year old. They were trained to a single wire, which it's amazing to see a big old cow be trained to a single electrified wire. Like they could
Yeah,
just bulldoze over
it's
that thing,
nuts.
but they don't.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they respected it like so much. Like I seen them running down the hill, and right when they get to that single wire, they stop, like where their face is right there, and they won't go past it.
yep,
And so that was pretty amazing to see and be a part of that. And but yeah, I mean, they taught me so much on like about my land, on things that I
yeah,
needed, things that I needed to work on, um, like water has been a main issue, for a lot of us, fencing and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience overall. I did feel now if you look back now, we had just moved to the property that year. So our property was a horse property. And so the horses, they will like really um, compact some land,
trample.
some land.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll nibble down all the grass to nothing. So it was definitely very overgrazed, compacted. So I felt like my grasses weren't very good at all. So I was a lot of the times I was still buying hay even in the summer, trying to give to the cows. So that was challenging. But I'm glad I
and
did it. I could have waited another year. Like this year, my grass is 10 times better than what it was last year, and it would have been better for them.
right.
But at the same time, it taught me a lot. So I'm happy I did it. So I only raised them for 1 year, and then we butchered them because I
Right.
felt like I didn't have enough grass for them. Like I felt bad after a while after realizing that. But you don't realize that until you're actually in it, until you're doing it.
That's got to be a huge jump going from pigs, because I mean, this is like y'all's what, third year with pigs, because y'all had the two brothers at the old place, and then
Yeah.
y'all have had the two coonies over for a couple years now. So going from pigs to cows is a big jump.
Oh
Something
yeah.
that could like trample you.
Yeah.
One question I had, one question I had about the pigs and the electric fences. Do y'all have issues with hogs, like with wild hogs on the property or anything like that?
No, we don't have. They have not made their way up here yet.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
maybe an hour or two from here, uh, towards South Carolina. I think they definitely do have a problem with wild hogs, but up where we're at, we don't have an issue with that at all.
yeah. That's always been my curiosity when I see guys like you and Justin using the electric fences. I'm like, man, don't down here in Texas, you would probably have an issue with wild hogs trying to break those fences from the outside.
Wow.
And so I've always been curious. I know there's a guy in Austin who did the electric fences. I forget his YouTube channel, but I think he did pretty well. But I think he had to have like an outer perimeter
Mm,
fenced in, and then go with the electric fence on the inside, just
yeah.
because the hog presence was so bad.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm surprised because you're really smart and you come up with some creative ideas. I was literally watching the video that y'all posted, I think last night. Everybody seems like they have problems with the netting, with getting like a good system and rolling that netting up.
Yeah.
I was like, if anybody's gonna come up with like an idea, maybe like a reel or something that fits in the back of the mini truck, where you roll up the wire, like the fencing. I
Yeah.
was like, maybe something like that would work. But I was like, if anybody's gonna come up with an idea, because everybody I watch on YouTube that has that fencing talks about how easy it is to tangle up.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just it sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, it can be. So, it has its moments. If you're not like, there's a lot of times that you're winding it up and you're just trying to get it. You're just, it's hot. You're trying to just put it away and you're not paying attention and you're just like basically throwing it in a ball and you're just throwing it in the shed, because you're
Yeah,
maybe, I got somewhere to go. I got another thing to do and you're just not paying attention. That happens. And there's sometimes where you're taking your time, you're rolling it up, it's nice and neat, and you're putting it away nice. That happens too. So, like it kind of comes with the territory. Like some days you have your
yeah,
good days and you have your bad days, you know,
right,
and that's just the way it
exactly.
is.
Well, it seems like y'all are getting in a routine of like putting it out the night before and and moving them the next day and
Yeah.
being able to take your time and really playing it out
Yeah, I
and
like doing
get
that.
that. Yeah,
It's
that
so
makes a
much
lot of sense.
it's so much nicer, especially in the summer, where it's not so hot. If you do it at night and you're taking your time. You just set up the netting, and then the next morning you're just basically opening the door and they're walking right
Yeah.
through. Like it's a nice
Yes.
calm event. I'm not
Yeah.
hot. I'm not sweaty. I'm not frustrated. I'm not have to tangle up fencing. Like it's just a calm time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and people don't realize, when you're making long form content, how much time goes into filming and how much time goes into editing. And so it looks like you have found a good balance. You kind of do the early morning, do some editing, and then like in the evening, do some more content, kind of take some breaks and stuff, and finding a good balance because y'all homeschool too. Do y'all do homeschooling with Penelope? I
Yes.
thought y'all were at one point. Yes. So
Yeah, we do.
is it so y'all both do that with her as well? So you have a full slate of stuff that you do.
Yeah, and that's mainly my wife. She does all the homeschooling. Um, she kind of lets me do. She's more like kind of in the house stuff. My wife, and she kind of lets me do. She allows me to do everything else.
Yeah.
The outside stuff, the building, the filming, the editing, which it works out because I don't really have to think. I don't have to worry about like making something for dinner, or lunch,
Yeah.
like cause she does that and she's be able to help in that way. And that's super helpful, because I don't
Yeah.
have to do it and I have to concentrate on other things, to make it work.
I saw behind you. Do you play guitar?
No, actually my daughter does.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she plays.
That,
She,
that's
she, she had some lessons. I, I feel like I buy instruments, but I don't stick with it.
yeah.
Like I bought an acoustic guitar one time, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how, because I would love to learn like a song or one song or something, or be able to play something. And I bought acoustic, and I just never stuck with it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna buy a harmonica. And so I bought a harmonica. I I tried to learn something, and I played maybe something, and then I just never really kept with it. And but our daughter, like,
Yeah.
she actually, we put her through lessons. Like she knows piano, she knows guitar, so she's doing the stuff that I guess we've always wanted to do, but never have. and
Yeah.
so she's learning. And but yeah, one day I'll do something. Now I'm thinking like I want a banjo. Like I think it'd be cool to play a banjo,
Oh, yeah.
but
Me too, dude.
you
Me
know,
too. I want one.
it's just one of those
But
things where
I'm.
like, it sounds cool, but like putting in the work and actually doing it, that's another story.
Yeah. Well, you're a busy guy, so I mean, like you have all kinds of things going on, so it's
Yeah,
hard to pick up an instrument later on. Maybe just go with her to some lessons and just pick it up.
yeah, there
You
you
know,
go.
I play guitar, and it's already loud enough. And I think if I bought a banjo, my wife would kill me. I think she would kill me.
Yeah,
Um, I, at y'all's old place, y'all pretty much bought that house, and pretty much tore it down and redid the whole thing yourselves. At the
yeah,
new place, y'all pretty much doing a little bit at a time here and there. But one thing I noticed at the old house, y'all didn't have a TV.
right.
Do y'all still not have y'all still don't have a TV?
No, no, we had it's probably been, I would say, 10 years since we've had a TV.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But y'all are like into vinyl and stuff like that. I've seen y'all have like a record player and y'all like listening to a lot of music and stuff like that though.
Yep. I've always collected records, um, probably since high school. And I used to be way into records, even more so than now. I dwindled down my record collection over the years. Um, I used to have a lot more. Even I brought so much over here when we moved, but over the years I kind of just got rid of stuff. But yeah, I still collect it. You know, I love music. Might not know how
Yeah,
to play it, but I love collecting. I love collecting it, and yeah, I mean, even early, like way back in the day, I would spin records. Like I spin records before, like at like a jazz club. Before, like I love just playing records. Different
yeah.
music.
Is that the type of music you like? The stuff that y'all usually use, like in the videos, like that jazzy kind of? Is that the kind of music you like? That's kind of like y'all's signature, like your the type of music y'all use in your videos, like that.
Yeah, I would say some of it. I mean, I think, when we first started doing YouTube, I didn't want to do YouTube if I couldn't put whatever music I wanted to. Like if I
Right.
wanted to put a Bob Dylan song, like that's me not knowing how it worked, with
Mm,
monetizing and putting in a song that's not, um, that you're not going to get demonetized or whatever. Like I didn't know how that worked, but I was like,
right.
man. So I was like, oh, you can't just put any song on a video. Like I was kind of mad about it. You know,
Yeah.
Even a lot of our early videos uh, had got demonetized because I was putting um, whatever song I wanted on there.
Oh yeah.
Uh, like, but that's me not really realizing how that worked, and
Mm,
also I kind of didn't care. You know,
yeah.
I just wanted to
Right.
put this song on there, and so now, yeah, I mean, we use, what do you call it?
I know what you're talking about. I'm still broke, so I'm still using the creator library, which
Yeah,
while
it's
you'll
like
hear this,
that,
yeah. It's there's some more expensive ones. You get like more options and stuff like that.
right?
Um,
But they're not copyrighted. I guess what I'm saying. They're not
yes,
copyrighted
royalty
songs.
free,
Yep, there you go. So
royalty
yeah,
free.
so I
Yes,
use those websites too. But the songs that I look for on there is kind of songs that I guess I like or it sounds good to me, um,
yeah.
and then use it that
It's
way.
it, it's definitely got like your style, your vibe to it. And I just saw on your last video, uh, you've had some people using your content for trying to sell stuff. Someone's stealing some of your content.
Yeah, it's been I've been this has been popping up in the last this year. I would say this year, specifically on Facebook. There's
Yeah.
somebody out there. I don't know if it's one person or what, but they they have a picture of me saying I'm me on their Facebook profile, and then they're going into these farming groups on Facebook, and they're trying
Hmm.
to sell, like they'll sell like a chicken coop and say, "Hey, I'm selling this chicken coop," or Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and it's a picture of me and it's my name, and I'm selling a chicken coop. But it's like it's probably a chicken coop that they just screenshotted a random chicken coop. It's not even my chicken coop.
Yeah.
It's like a
Oh
random,
yeah.
probably screenshot of another chicken coop that they're just like trying to um, get money from people and saying that I'm selling these things. And then like recently, I had somebody reach out to me saying, "Hey." I haven't heard from you. Are you still selling those pigs? And I'm like, I'm not selling any pigs. Like, and so I emailed him back. I was like, where'd you hear that from? And like, oh, I've been going back with forth with you on Facebook of buying these pigs. I was about to send you some money, a down payment. And I was like, no, like that's not me. Like, can you screenshot, who you've been talking to and stuff like that? And sure enough, it's the same guy. And apparently they were going back and forth of me selling pigs, and she was about to send them like, I don't know, $400 or something
Oh
for like a
wow.
down payment. And I was like, no, that's not me. And so yeah, that's why I said it in the video, because I was like, man, this is happening more and more. And like, I tried to, what do you call it? You know, tell Facebook and say, hey, this guy's not me, but I don't even think that's doing anything. Um,
Yeah, the reporting process is kind of slow on like Instagram and Facebook.
yeah.
It's
Plus, if I look for him, I can't find him, so that means he blocked me.
oh, that's wild.
Somebody, yeah,
Does it just say "sow the land" or does it say Jason Contreras or what does it say?
I think it says my name.
Yeah, I'll look it up later on see if I can find it.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild.
but I'm like,
And it's pretty bizarre.
yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time. But
Yeah, I usually have. It hasn't been like Facebook videos, or it's usually been like TikTok videos and
mm,
Instagram videos that get like stolen of mine. And like I'll go look at these pages, and it's got like 120,000 followers, and my video got jacked off of TikTok, and it's on this person's TikTok. They're posting it as their own, and it's
yeah,
like 1,000,000 views. I'm like, what is going on? Why didn't it get that many when I posted it?
I know that you can't help. I mean, I don't
It's
think that something like that. I don't
no.
think you can help.
There's nothing
Uh,
you can do.
yeah,
There's nothing you can do about it. Oh my goodness. Well, Jason, I know you're a busy guy, man, and I appreciate you coming on and talking to me for a little bit, dude. I'm gonna have to go take some cough syrup because I think I'm dying right now.
yeah, man.
But I really appreciate you coming on.